Hello, my Teaserking family. Welcome for part trois, but we're going to be more on economics in this video than earlier was mostly sports, football, college football, why coaches stink, baseball picks for today, the preseason games. And again, don't bet a lot on preseason. All right. Having my blueberries for lunch. I was watching an old Dr. Iceberg one on cholesterol, which I showed earlier a year or two ago. And it's basically the body makes cholesterol. Don't worry about it, but we can get into that later. So what's gold doing? 33.74. As I told you earlier, you could see it going down just before 10, so you knew it would go up at 10 because they're shorting it so they could buy it. So if it goes down at 10, they buy it. And if it goes up at 10, they sell it. Very easy to figure out. 33.75. So you can see the range. It's between 33.40, 33.80. Gets beaten back. It's all fake. It's all bullshit. It's not a real price. It's a option price, a paper price. So if you understand that, and then let's look at silver, 37.84. So if you understand that, you know these aren't real prices. So we can take advantage. Do we think the real price is higher or lower? Well, we think they're much higher because why is this price going down at 4 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock in Europe from 33.76? Why is it going down $20? Nobody's selling. It's not a normal market, a buy-sell market. If things are being bought and there's high demand, price should go up. Things are being sold and there's no demand, the price should go down. So when you go to the grocery store and you want to see steak and you see it at $20 a pound for New York strip, you don't buy it because it's too expensive. It's over market. So what do? They lower the price because nobody wants it. If, however, it's at $12 and everybody's buying it, then they raise the price. Right now, they have no idea what they're doing. They're raising the price without the demand at the grocery store. So they just made steak. $20. Well, why? See, if you're not doing it because of demand, you can't do it. But we see that in all these industries. Look at the auto industry. Look at the house industry. So in the auto industry, we see prices go up, but there's no demand for prices. Ford, GM just raised the price $5,000, let's say. Or we saw Camry do that. They raised it from 25 to 35. Why? Well, our costs went up. The demand go up. You can't raise prices without an increased demand. And you can't lower prices if there's not a decrease in demand. So when we see a Camry go to 35, if it's not done by demand, it won't last. We see steak, it went up, not because of demand, not because everybody was buying New York strips at $15, so let's raise the price. No, the cost went up because Brazil is running all the meat, and the cost for Camry's gone up. But that doesn't mean you can raise the price. And that's what I keep saying. Just because the cost goes up does not mean the price goes up. The price is determined by the market. This is early Austrian economics, Adam Smith. If there's a lot of demand and people want something, you can charge more because they want it. If I want Canadian Club 12-year, right, I really want it. Oh, it's 12-year. It's very limited. This is 12-year 1997, not 12-year 2025. If I really want it and my demand is there, I will pay more for it. I mean, that's how we get the whole market in itself. There must be things that we want and or need, and we will pay for it. You need a house. You need a car. We need a car in America. You don't need it in Europe. But if we need it, and then we figure out what we can afford to pay, and off we go. And that's fine. That's really the point is, do you have things that you want, but you wanting the item drives the price. It's, it's a weird dichotomy because initially you had like computers come out and they were very expensive, but then more companies made the computer. So the competition drove the price down. That's good productivity, and that's what should happen. So the price goes down because of competition. That's okay. If the price goes down because of no demand, that's not okay. Then you have a problem. So it works in reverse. If you're raising cost, this is stupid. If you must have the market determine your price. So you set your price at X, $15 for a steak. Does the market buy it? If the market buys it, then you're okay. If they don't, you don't raise it to $18 or $20 for a steak. Who's going to buy it? Who's your market? You see, this is the biggest problem businesses have. They don't even understand who their market is and what the market will bear. And then, so you look at it in cars and you look at it in houses. Houses, 500, 600,000, high interest rates. Nobody's buying. There's no market there. The market can maybe afford $2,500 a month, but not a 500,000 with 7% interest, 8% interest. So you can either A, get the interest down, or B, you can't, in which case you have to lower the selling price. The total can be $2,500 a month. That's your market. Well, if interest is 7%, I got to go from 500 down to maybe 400 at 7%, maybe gets me 2,500. I don't know. I'm just taking numbers, but that's what you've got to understand where the market is. Now, in reverse with gold and silver, you are selling it and shorting the price, and you're trying to determine the price, but the market is not there. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if I had 3,500, I'd go buy another ounce of gold because I know it's worth 10, 15,000. Well, how can you say that, Howard? Well, because the demand is there. China is the BRICS, everybody in BRICS, and there's more and more countries joining. Nobody wants to be in the dollar. Nobody wants to be bullied by Trump and George Soros and England. And so they're like, screw it, we'll join BRICS, we'll buy gold, and we'll be fine. Do you trust Putin and Xi? I don't know, but you can't trust Trump. There's nowhere else to go because BRICS is competition for the dollar. The dollar's been the lead dog for a while, but not because of demand. Basically, people have been forced to, right? If you want to play, this is the game. Now we got a new game. It's called BRICS. It's competition. The U.S. can't handle the competition because we got to be a monopoly. And we're JP Morgan. We do monopolies. We can't handle competition. And so that's the problem. And so the real gold and silver price are much, much higher because of the demand being much, much higher. So it's almost reverse, where there's no demand. The stake's $15. There's no demand that shot it up to 20. But in gold and silver, there's no demand knocking it down. Like if gold's 3,400, as I just showed you, there's no demand making gold 3,300. There's no, I should say, lack of sales. There's no interest, and the price is dropping. That's not the point. They're going through the roof. Everybody's buying it. They're buying all the central banks, all the private banks, the shadow banks, citizens in China and Russia and Germany. Everybody's buying gold. The demand for gold is huge. Does not represent the price going down. or the price remaining even. There's either two reasons. One, there's people that want to buy, that want to keep the price low, or two, you're price fixing it. And I don't know the reason. You're not making any money price fixing it at 33.80. You're not making any money with it. Oh, you might be doing these options and doing derivatives on the options, but okay, you're making money on a phony game, but that's not going to last. So understand that prices are settled by the market. There's more demand for something. Tiger Woods, oh, he's Nike. Oh, I can wear a Tiger Woods shirt or a Tiger Woods golf club or something. Oh, I'm going to buy it because there's demand for it. That's why I advise, if you're buying, baseball cards or collectibles or assets, you buy a Rolex, you buy a Mantle card or a Montana or a Brady or a Jordan, because there's demand for that. So that's going to shoot the price out. The demand creates, is the price going to go up? No demand creates the price going down. So what you see in gold now is huge demand, but the price going down. What is that? Price fix. Oh, so you mean the market isn't pricing gold and silver? No. JP Morgan is with these derivatives. So I know that price isn't real, because the market is over here and JP Morgan's down here trying to keep the price down so you stay in dollars, because you're stupid. You don't know that the dollar's collapsed and the fiat currency is not backed by anything and worthless. You don't know this is worth zero. So therefore, we want you to stay in it. We want you to buy stocks and stay in the bank and let us make money off of you. But no, you can't buy gold and silver, because then we can't make money off of you. It's a sick thing, just like the defense contractors. Sometimes you really wonder about who's running the country, has their head so far up their ass that it makes no sense. Well, we don't want you to make money. We want to make it. And we want a war so we can sell. Defense contractor can sell Raytheon, and Northrop can sell Tomahawk missiles and airplanes and tanks and trucks. And then we can make money because we'll create a war and kill a bunch of people. And you're like, what is wrong with these people? These are the stupidest people I've ever seen in my life. If you need a war to sell your products, you probably are selling the wrong product there. No, we'll have a war, and then we can sell guns to both sides. And, there's some pretty sick people. Do you need military? Yeah, but how does Russia do it? They make their own. They don't need a war to make the industry better. So certain things need to be regulated, I would say, by the government, like utilities and military. The rest should not be. Roads, schools should not be. They should be free market. But look what happens when you do have free market and the defense contractors. You end up with, let's have a war and kill everybody so we can sell weapons. That needs to go away. The government needs to block it, but the problem is the government's so corrupt, and the defense contractors are paying off the government, that the government loses their minds and say, oh, I'll take the money. I don't care how many people in Ukraine die. What do I care about them for? What are you kidding me? So there's a sickness in the U.S. of corrupt people, George Soros, J.P. Morgan, Jamie Dimon, all these guys are sick individuals. Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, they need to go. They need to be in prison somewhere and dropped in a hole, like in Money Heist in North Africa. Drop them in a hole. Just let them talk to each other. These are not good human beings, unfortunately. It's very sick people. But the market has to determine if prices go up or not, right? So if there's a lot of demand, the price should go up. If there's no demand, the price should go down. So steaks, you'll see sales. When you see a sale at the grocery stores because there's no demand, A, because the price is too high, or B, it's like Coca-Cola. Nobody wants it anymore because it's all sugar water. It's going to kill you. So you have that where something happens where there's no demand, and then you see the sale. Now, usually right now, it's the prices go up too high. They think because costs go up, I can just raise the price. Like with my dark chocolate, I just simply don't buy it at $4.75. I was buying it at $2. It's $4.75, so I don't buy it. However, I wait, and then it's a sale because nobody's buying it. They can't sell it. They got to lower the price to sell it. Then it's buy one get one half off, and now it's like $3.60. If I buy 2 bars a bar, so then I go, okay, I'll buy it, and that's it. Otherwise, you're too expensive. I don't need it. I'm not going to buy it, and that's what happens. So when we see gold and silver, if there was no demand, we could see the price drop. But this price has been controlled by options and derivatives since 1972 or 3, whenever COMEX came into existence. And it's a game between London and New York. I'll buy, you sell, and I'll sell, you buy. And they made commission on it. But in no way is it the real price of gold and silver. We haven't even come close to the real price in gold and silver. That's why people, please, I get frustrated when people listen to other people that don't know what they're talking about. They don't know anything, and they, like Peter Schiff, he doesn't know anything. He's not an economist, he's a salesman. But when you start listening to him, you get bad thoughts in your mind because he's wrong. If somebody says the sky's red or the sky's green, we all know the sky's blue normally. So wait a minute. Well, yeah, but Peter Schiff said the sky is green. So I'm going to go with green. You're like, what? The sky's blue. And you're like, what the hell is going on? And that's what I'm running into, where people just don't understand or to listen to the wrong person. I ran into that the other day, and I will share that video with you. So my thesis today is, has the boat hit the iceberg? Have we hit the iceberg yet? What do I mean by that? Well, the iceberg caused the Titanic to sink. And people, well, it's not going to sink. It's been 2 hours, we haven't sunk. It's been 3 hours, it hasn't sunk. Oh, it's not going to sink. Has the iceberg hit? Yes. Has the water coming in? Yes. Then it's going to sink. Well, but it hasn't sunk yet, so maybe it won't. No, it's the iceberg hit, water's coming in. So when we go to the dollar or we go to the euro, has the iceberg hit? Well, here you got 37 trillion in debt plus all the debt for Social Security and Medicare, so it's 100 trillion in debt. This is probably similar because all governments keep printing and the governments are too big and it's a lot of corruption, and they print and print and print, and not understanding the consequences are they will go to zero. They have to go to zero because you keep printing it, it's worthless. So when you have this, has the dollar hit the iceberg? And it's yes, because they're printing. It's the $37 trillion debt. It's all the problems with Social Security and Medicare. It's all the problems with the interest on the debt. It's all the problems with the defense contractors and the big government that you can't pay everybody, and you're not getting enough money in. So if I get $10,000 a month and I spend 20, I'm in trouble. So I can only spend 10 because that's all I get. The U.S. is spending a lot more than that. The U.S. takes in, I don't know, let's say they take in, in a year, let's say their budget's $5 trillion, but they only take in 3. So if they only take in 3 and they spend 5, that's 2 trillion more to the debt. That's how you got 37 trillion. That's your problem. So you keep spending more than you're taking in. Well, how do we take in more? Well, you can't raise taxes, does not take in money. It hurts, it takes in less money because a lot of the rich people leave because they go look for a cheaper place. So they run to Dubai or whatever. And the rest of us pay tax, but it's not enough. It's not, stop spending. You got to balance your budget. You can only spend it. Well, we have so many government employees. See, that's your problem is government employees because what the government does, they don't produce revenue, right? They print money, but they don't produce revenue. They don't sell, golf clubs or T-shirts. They build roads, but it doesn't make money. They're just spending more and more money. I see it here in Detroit, all this construction. And then I finally figured it out. It's government spending to try to get Detroit or Michigan out of a recession, but it won't work because that's just spend. You just spent more money. So it's like going to the grocery store and eating. Well, I'll go buy more food at the grocery store and I'll spend money. Well, that's not going to help you because you only take in 10,000. Now you're spending 20 because you're buying more food. How does that help you? You need to curve it back to 10, or you need to make more income to get to 20. But since the government doesn't have any income and they have all this huge spend, there's so many government employees on all these agencies, you're fucked. You can't, where are you getting the money for it? Well, we'll just keep printing it. We can print as much as we want. What are you on drugs? You can't print as much as you want because this becomes worthless. Hence why it's cut up like this. It's worthless. Egon says it's 99% gone. I think it's 100% gone. I don't buy 99. Well, how did it stop at 99? It's gone. Everybody is joining BRICS and they're going to use gold and nobody wants to play with the dollar. Take your ball and go home. We're gonna go with the BRICS team and trade with Brazil and trade with China and trade with Russia, and we're all gonna have a little trade party because we don't want to be on the U.S. A team because they're kind of bullies and their money is not worth anything anyway. I mean, that's the real problem is this has no value. So Trump's, I'm going to tariff you. Well, he hasn't figured out he can't. Nobody's using the dollar to tariff. I'm not going to trade with the U.S. We got this whole block now with China and Brazil and Russia, India. We don't need to trade with you. Dubai, Hungary's joining the block. I think Spain wanted to join the block. Basically, the U.S. should be joining BRICS if they were smart, but then they don't have any gold. So that's the problem. Have we hit the iceberg? Yes, because we keep printing. We're spending more money than we have, therefore we're running deficits. You can't do that. That means you're bankrupt. You cannot spend 5,000 when you only have 2,000, or 1 million and you only have 700,000. If you have 700,000, you can't spend $1 million. You can only spend 700,000. And if you're trying to pay off debt, you really can only spend about 600,000. And the other 100,000 should go towards debt. So you're looking at this $100 trillion debt figure between the debt and the 37 trillion and the Social Security, Medicare, and all the government spending. So paying all the government employees. My friend works for the DOD. How does he get paid? Well, they print money. How do I get Social Security? They just print me a check. From where? It's, that's why I buy as much gold and silver as I do, because that's why I spend as much gold and silver as I do, is because A, I know it's undervalued, so I know it's a great deal, but B, I can't stay in dollars. As I tried to explain to my friend yesterday, the goal is to get out of dollars because the dollar has hit the iceberg. They have printed it. They have a huge debt. There's no way out. You can try stable coins all you want. It's not going to work. Well, people will buy. Why would anybody want a stable coin? It's the same as a CBDC. They're going to control you. What value does a stable coin have? None. Oh, it's a bond and it's backed by the dollar, no interest. Why would I buy it? Why would I buy U.S. bonds? I'll never get paid back. They have a $37 trillion debt, and I give them 10 grand to buy a bond, and I get no interest. And when will I ever get paid back? Because they don't have any money to pay me. And I'd much rather buy $10,000 worth of gold than 10,000 in a stable coin. So don't listen to idiots and don't be stupid. Understand it. I want to get out of the dollar because I want to be in gold and silver, because you can't print gold and silver. It's got nothing to do with, there's no, what do they call it, risk of third party risk or something. It's got nothing to do with it. It's yours and they can't print it, right? You own it just like you own a Rolex. There's no third party risk in a Rolex. There's no third party risk in a Montana card or a Mantle card. Tom Brady, there's no third party risk to that. You bought an asset, you own it, and they can't print anymore. I have a 1-on-1 Steve Eisman. They can't print anymore. There's only one and it's numbered. Or if I have a Montana rookie, they can't print anymore. They burn the plates. Now it's 2025. They can print it, but they reproduce it. And they say, oh, this is a 2010 Montana rookie card, but it says it's 2010. And this is, so it's, if you want to get it cheap, here it is. But to get the real 1981 card or a 52 Mantle rookie, you can't print it anymore. So because it's limited and you can't print it, that's why you own it. That's why you own gold and silver. They can't print it anymore. They can't counterfeit it. You can't put lead and brass on gold and call it gold. You can't make silver out of nickel and call it silver, because there's machines that test it and go, no, this ain't it. Just go to your jewelry store and go, is this real gold? And they'll go, yep. Or they'll go, no. And they test it. So nobody can fake gold and silver. Either there is or it isn't. And there's only so much of it is. There's only 200,000 tons of gold. That's it. And most of it's in China and Russia's hands. In India, Saudi Arabia, BRICS has probably 199 of the 200,000 tons. So if it's limited and they can't print, they got to find it in the ground. And that takes years to, if they find it, to then get it out of the mine and then go take it to Switzerland and make it into bars and coins. And that's going to take a while anyway, but there's way more demand. And all the countries will have more demand for gold and silver. So as the euro goes out and all the euro countries will go, oh, our dollar is worthless. We need to sell our dollars and go into gold and silver. And then there's this $41 trillion outside that are going to sell to get out of the market, get out of the housing market, get out of the banks. And they're going to, okay, I'm in Germany, I'm in France, I'm in Italy, I'm in China, Russia. Well, I'm going to go buy my currency. Nah, I don't want that. I'm going to go buy gold and silver. Hey, maybe I'll buy a Mantle card or a Rolex or something like that. So they're going to buy that. The iceberg is already hit. All these fiat money is not backed by anything and printed to death. For some people that think you can just keep printing and printing, they're out of their minds. You can print 1923 Germany, the Reichsmark kept printing and printing, and they wallpapered their homes with it because it wasn't worth anything. It's not about you can print it. Sure, you can keep printing this, but does it have a value? Now, Egon says it's lost 99%. Again, I think it's 100%. So can you print it? No, you can't. You can't keep printing it. It will lose its value. And that's what you're looking for. You're not looking for the 5. You're saying, what is the value of the 5? What is this worth is what you're looking at. Not that it's 5, but what is the 5 by you? And the 5 has no value. And the dollar has no value, and the 100 is worth $1. It's lost 99%. It won't buy much for you. So that's why we know that the COMEX price is bullshit, because the demand's too much. We've already hit the iceberg. The dollars, all the fiat money's collapsing because they keep printing it, because they keep having too much expense. Every government's the same. Then they got their pensions to cover. The debt is the same everywhere. They got to cover that. So it's a huge collapse. The answer is gold, because you can't print it, and silver. So if the demand's high, why is the price not? Well, why do we see this little drop? Why do we see this drop at 6 o'clock in the morning? Why did it go down 20? There's huge demand. Nobody's selling. So we're up to 33.76. Why isn't it 3,500? It's 4,000 now. It should just keep going up. Why did it drop at noon? Why did it go down from 33.80 to 33.73 and now 33.76? Why is this 37.84? Why isn't it higher? Because they're price fixing it. And that's the problem. But all it means is the real price, the real demand for gold and silver is here. And here's this stupid COMEX silver, 37.84. Do we really think that's the real price based on the demand, based on the fact that the fiat currencies are worthless? No. Now here's my problem with people. You give them the golden key, buy gold and buy silver. You give them that. That's all I do. I don't look at Bitcoin. I don't look at the stocks because I know that I'm in the one spot I can be on. I am in the lifeboat, and there's only two lifeboats, gold and silver. Yeah, what do I hear? Well, I can buy these stocks, and I can buy this, and I can buy Bitcoin. Well, why'd you talk me out of Bitcoin? Because it's not real. Because I'd rather be in gold and silver because that's a sure thing. When we look at risk and reward and risk and return on investment, the best place is gold and silver. That's why we're in it. Yeah, but I really want to be in stocks. They're going up. Or Bitcoin. Look at Bitcoin go. And I'm like, it's like looking at a football game in the second quarter. And I'm telling you to bet the Chiefs over the Niners in Super Bowl 2 years ago. And then the Niners are up 10-0. Oh, geez, I should have bet the Niners. Why did you have me bet the Chiefs? Da, 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 da. Was the game over? No. Who won? Oh, yeah, Mahomes won. And they came back to win. And that's what you have now. You're like in the middle of a game. You're going, well, these stocks are doing well. Look at Bitcoin. It's doing well. And I'm like, but we're not done with the game yet. Can you talk to me when the game's over? In other words, gold's going to move up at least 10 times. Gold will be $30,000, $40,000. However, when the dollar goes out, gold's going to be even more expensive. And so you're going to be, what are we pricing it in? Yeah, but your stocks are worthless and your Bitcoin's worthless because those are in US dollars. But the gold's not worthless because that will be the money. And people don't understand that gold will be the money. Like you're not selling your gold to get into a dollar or to get into a euro. You're not selling your gold for this, right? The gold is the money. People really have a hard time with that concept. Well, what is the money now? It's nothing. It's monopoly money. It's worthless because it's not backed by anything. So gold is worthless, or the dollar is worthless because it's not backed by anything. Yet that seems to be a hard concept to grasp. Well, gold, what will you sell the gold for? But gold is the money. When you have a gold-backed currency like what BRICS is doing now, they have a gold-backed currency. China's using it. Russia's probably right behind. Once you have that is the money. Oh, my dollar is backed by gold. Oh, okay, then it's real. And that's what you've got to realize. This is not backed by anything. This is worthless. So you want to buy stock, you want to buy Bitcoin, it's worthless. Because if Bitcoin's, what I saw it at 113,000. Well, how did it go from 120 to 113? Is that price fixed too? Absolutely. But is it really worth $113,000? What's 113,000 inflated dollars worth? Can I get the money and then wait a minute, it's in dollars, which isn't real and isn't worth anything because we've already hit the iceberg. The iceberg is the money printing in this case. The Titanic actually hit an iceberg, but for our purposes, the dollar being printed to death is the iceberg. When's it collapsing? Oh, it's not going to be an automatic tomorrow. Soon it's collapsing. BRICS is helping it collapse. Gold's helping it collapse. Bitcoin is not real. It's not backed by anything. It's worth dollars. Dollars aren't backed by anything. So Bitcoin's not worth anything. When I had a chance to buy Bitcoin, it was probably cheap, playing poker in Vegas. And I said, what's it backed by? And they said, nothing. And I said, then it's worthless. And that was how long I thought about Bitcoin. It was about 30 seconds going, it's not backed by anything. Well, it's limited to 21 million Bitcoins. What's a Bitcoin? Well, it's not real. It's just computer. Oh, so it's not even, so I don't really actually hold it. Well, good luck with that one. Okay, it's at 113,000. Did you sell it? Did you take your profit? Or you're an idiot, you're just holding it because it's going to go to 2 and it's going to go to 3. I was watching that Wolf of Wall Street, worst movie I've ever seen. I really don't like that Leonardo DiCaprio person. So I'm sitting there, and they're sitting at lunch with the handicapper, and he says the key with Wall Street is to keep you in stock. So if you made money in Coke, sell them Disney, sell them Intel, sell them Apple, sell them Amazon, keep them in Wall Street in the game, which is the last thing you want to do at a casino or you're playing poker, you're betting football. You take your money, you add it to your bankroll, you make money. That's the key to it. But that's not what is Bitcoin. Oh, it's going up to 200,000, which is, we'll keep them in Bitcoin. We'll keep it growing because they won't sell it. I want to take my profit. If I'm playing roulette or if I'm playing blackjack, I want to, lots of I'm playing craps. So I start with 500, it's up to 1,000. I'm taking my money and getting the hell out of there because the odds are against me. It's incredibly hard. And what am I there for? I just made $500. It's great. It's a great day. Or if you're a multimillionaire, you made $500,000. But the point is, when you're up to leave, you cash in. You're playing poker, you cash in. You don't stay until you lose everything. That's how idiots lose all their money. So you don't do that. We watched the Rounders, right? And the idiot couldn't tell an Oreo cookie tell, and he's supposed to be some big shot gambler, and his buddy Don Falcone couldn't read it either. Geez, the guy eats Oreos all the time. Yeah, geez, I don't know if that's a tell. These are supposedly professionals. Oh my God. Can I play with them? I'll eat my blueberries every time I get a good hand. They won't pick it up. So that's what you got to understand. You take your profit. So in Bitcoin, take your profit. But they want you to stay in. Oh, it's going to 200. And if it's 200, it's going to 300. It's going to 1 million. It's going to 10 million. But it's worthless because it's in dollars. So even if it is worth 10 million, it's worth nothing. 10 million times 0 is 0. That's the bottom line. It's still worthless. So what we're looking for is things that have value. Oh, the Mano card has value because I actually have it. Things that you can hold, you have value. The Mano card, the Montana card, Willie Mays, the Rolex watch has value. The Picasso has value. Things like that have value, right? Limited edition cards, wine, old wine, maybe things that have demand and have a market and are real. So if you happen like if this bottle could be worth $1,000, I don't think so, but it's 12 years old. They don't make 12-year-old Canadian Club. This is from 1997, so it was born in 1985. But if there's a lot of demand for this, the price would go up because they're willing to pay because of the demand. So when you're in gold and silver, there's always demand because it's real money. It doesn't go to 0. It's not worthless. So the Bitcoin at 110, or let's say it's 110, but it has no value because it's backed by dollars, which are not worth anything. So, and you can't even hold the Bitcoin. So you're gone in the Bitcoin. It could go to 1 million. It's 1 million nothings is still nothing. And the same thing with the stocks. The market's going to crash. Well, I want to be in stocks. Why? It's going to crash. Do you not understand what a crash is? The price is going to go down. Well, maybe what's that? I own Disney. Wow, Disney won't go down. Coca-Cola won't go down. They're all going down because people are selling their portfolio. I got $5 million in my portfolio, in which case I have Disney and Coke and Apple and Amazon. And believe me, if I have those stocks, I'm selling the portfolio. And that's what I'm doing. Is this D? Oh, good. Just a second. Just a second. Anyway, that was dark. So I take it when I can because it's 8:17 and or yeah, 7 hours. So it's 8:17 in St. Pete. So I get my chance because I'm normally sleeping when she gets up. So basically, what you're looking at is you want things that are real, and Bitcoin is not. I know it says it's worth so much, but it's in dollars, which are really not worth anything. So you really have to understand that. That's the point. That's what you must understand from any, you want things that are demanded. Is Bitcoin really in demand? Are the stocks really in demand? Probably not. So it gets back to the question: is gold really worth this? Is there is there more demand than 33.74, or is there less demand for that? And that's why I say the price is very low considering. So I was told of this O'Dowd guy, Ed Dowd, and I was talking to my friend about that yesterday. Who is he? Is he a Keynesian or an Austrian? Neither. He's not even an economist. Big problem. He worked at BlackRock. Anybody who works for Soros or BlackRock is bad news because that shows you have no incentive. You're trying to hurt people. It's not people I would be around. I would never work at either of those two places. Soros, we know, is a Nazi, and Larry Fink isn't much different. BlackRock and Blackstone, they're trying to control us. They keep the housing prices up. I have no respect for people that work at these companies. So my friend's challenging me on Fort Knox. Is there gold there? I think there is. Why? Well, I don't know. I just think there is. All right, so we're going to play a little segment of Ed O'Dowd, who worked at BlackRock. Basically, he's a scumbag, and I wouldn't waste my time listening to him to get real thing. Then I see it's Miles Franklin, which is Andy Schectman's gig. We know how stupid he is. Salesman, not an economist. That's why you really got to be careful who you're talking with. You've got to talk to Mark McGuire and Egon because we get enough facts from them, and they're more or less Austrians. Alligator, I don't trust. He's not an Austrian. He doesn't really understand it. Because they'll say, oh, I talked to Austrians and they're for this and that. It's like, no, we're not. What are you talking about? So he doesn't really get what an Austrian is. He's probably more of a Keynesian, maybe, or he's just a banker who doesn't know what he's talking about. But I don't go with that. So let's listen to this little interview from Andy Schectman's group about that. And they bring up one name, which is Martin Armstrong. Who is Martin Armstrong? Well, let's look at Martin Armstrong. Martin Armstrong is an American economic forecaster, so he's not an economist, who was convicted of a felony for investment fraud. He served 11 years in jail for a Ponzi scheme that cheated investors out of $700 million and hiding $15 million in assets from regulators. Do we really want to talk to somebody who quotes a fucking Madoff? Probably not. So let's listen to this about 10 minutes. And I'm going to eat this guy alive. And my problem is, why are you listening to this guy? And it's not that you're listening to the video. You can listen to any video you want. This is freedom. But you've got to understand, is he right or wrong? And you have to make that determination. And that's what I'm trying to help you with by giving you all the information needed so you can listen to these guys and go, this guy's full of shit, or this guy knows what he's talking about. So the person I'm talking with believes there's gold in Fort Knox, but he can't give me an explanation. I don't believe there is, because they would prove it and use it to pay off the debts and everything else. And if I had it, I would show it. And if I don't need to show it, fine. But I don't believe it's ours. I believe we sold it to China. So if there is any gold in Fort Knox, it's not the U.S. They've already rehypothecated it to China, and they're just holding for China, but they don't really have it. So based on, I think there is not an answer of that there is. But yeah, why do you listen to that? I don't understand. It's just like you want to hear it. You want there to be gold in Fort Knox. So you say, I believe there is. Okay, why? Why do you believe there's gold in Fort Knox? I can explain inflation to you and the money printing, and I can explain recessions, and there's no such thing as disinflation or devaluing, whatever they call that. There's no such thing as that. That's just the prices going down. So we're going to have devaluations. Prices will drop because there's no demand. It's all the steak at the grocery store. They mark the steak at 20. Nobody wants it. It goes down to 10. All the devaluations that are going to happen, or disinflation, whatever the hell they call it, it's not real. It's going down because that's the market. The market says there's no demand, so the prices go down. That's what happens. That's why Warren Buffett's in cash, because he knows all this stuff's going to go down and he wants to buy it cheap. But he misses the point. You can't be in dollars, because dollars the one thing that's already been devalued or deflated or whatever. I think it's deflation. It's already gone. It's already worthless. So the thing you're holding to buy the other assets with is already deflated 99%, and I'm saying 100%. All right, let's listen to this idiot. And I would not recommend that anything this guy says, I would not believe, because if he's quoting Martin Armstrong, who's a Ponzi schemer who stole millions of dollars, probably not the guy I'd be using to back my story.
Because that has been a topic of a lot of, well, conspiracy. And the last audit of America's gold reserves was in 1953. And that sort of has become a topic that has re-entered the mainstream thanks to Elon Musk, who tweeted asking when the last time Fort Knox was audited. And he ignited a very real question, a very real debate. I posted on X, rather not tweeted, he posted on X, who is confirming that gold wasn't stolen from Fort Knox. Maybe it's there, maybe it's not. That gold is owned by the American public. We want to know if it's still there. And so kind of went on to then created this whole buzz about an audit and reignited a very real question. Now, why hasn't the US government opened the vaults for full verification? The US, by background, claims to hold over 8,000 tons of gold, mostly stored at Fort Knox, West Point, and the Denver Mint. And officially, the US has not added to its gold reserves since 1950. That's over 7 decades with no official accumulation, despite, as you just mentioned, central banks around the world, especially China, buying aggressively. So not only have we not audited the gold, we officially have not added to it either, at least on record. Why? What do you think is going on there? Is the gold in Fort Knox? What is your theory, Ed Dowd?
Well, for decades, the gold bugs have been putting forth the theory that there's no gold at Fort Knox and it's gone. I have the exact opposite theory. I think we have more gold there than we know. And I just use common sense. And I've looked at what we've done over the last 20 years. We invaded Iraq. Their gold seemed to have disappeared. Same with Libya. So I think there's more gold in Fort Knox than we know. And that's why it's not being audited.
Does that make any sense to anybody? So if we stole the gold from Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein, not, a couple hundred tons, that's it. We wouldn't audit it because there's too much, because we stole the gold from those two people. And there's more based on we stole it from these two countries. So what? What does that have to do with you think there's more gold than not? I don't think there's any gold in there because it's all been sold to China. That's my educated answer. We don't know because they won't open the vaults. Then prove it. Well, we're saying prove it. And you won't open the vaults means there isn't any there. The fact you got a little bit there means nothing. What he misses is in the 20 years, we've rehypothecated it and sold it to China. When England sold their 200 tons, they had 200 tons, I believe. Canada sold all theirs. We sold all of ours. We don't have any U.S. gold. There might be gold in Fort Knox. It's not the U.S.'s. Even if we stole Saddam Hussein's and Gaddafi's, doesn't mean we didn't sell it to Russia and China. You have no idea. But that is the stupidest answer I've ever seen. Oh, well, since we stole from we don't want to show that we stole it. Really? We sold, and it's like 100 tons. It's nothing. I mean, you had 8,400. You stole 100 tons or 150 tons. That's nothing. That's not why we don't audit it. But wait a minute. It was supposed to be audited in the 70s and 80s before we destroyed. Saddam Hussein was the 2000s and Gaddafi was the 2000s. So wait a minute. How about the 1960s and 70s and 80s? That was before that. We didn't audit it. Big problem with this guy. Big liar.
Exact opposite position.
Because there's more gold, which may potentially be used in a potential monetary reset. Just by way of background, by the way, just to add some context to our viewers who may not know what you were referencing with Iraq and Libya.
Hey, David.
Gaddafi had amassed around 143 tons of gold physically held in Libya. He was working on launching a Pan-African gold-backed currency, the so-called gold dinar, as a way to push Africa off the dollar and the euro systems. Now, that, of course, would have been a direct threat to the petrodollar system. And after the NATO-backed intervention in 2011, well, that gold disappeared. Now, some of it may have been smuggled out, but a large portion has never been fully accounted for.
So she just said 2011. How about 1980, 1990, 2000? Why didn't we audit it back then? Makes no fucking sense. This guy is, you can tell he worked for BlackRock. He's a bad liar. He's a stupid liar.
You're saying it may have landed up in Fort Knox. To the victor go the spoils, I suppose. And the same goes for Saddam. By 2000, he started selling Iraqi oil in euros instead of dollars, another serious challenge to US dollar dominance. And after the invasion of Iraq, US forces secured Iraq's central bank. They recovered about 100 tons of gold. That gold was supposed.
So this is 2005. So that was 200 tons of gold added to 8,400 tons of gold. There's 8,600 tons of gold. We're not going to have an audit because there's an extra 200 tons. What the fuck is this guy shoveling?
Handed over to Iraqi authorities, but again, no public audit, no audit trail. So if you're right, and if some of that gold ended up in Fort Knox, it would mean that the US has quietly boosted its reserves without ever officially disclosing it, which would make the refusal to audit, lend more credibility to why it's so suspicious that they don't want to audit it. So when do you think there will be a reveal? Like, at what point, if any,
never,
do you think it'll be necessary for the US to say, no, actually, we do have a lot more gold than we claim to? And there's a whole other theory that there's been shadow covert purchasing of gold, which we'll get into. But do you think that there will be some kind of moment where Fort Knox will be audited?
I suspect it.
Never.
When there's a global monetary reset and gold is part of it, we'll audit and tell the truth. That would be the moment. But again, I don't know when that's going to happen. I think you made me aware of a quote from Trump about gold. What was the exact quote? He who has the gold. What was it again? Makes the rules. Yeah. He who has the gold makes the rules. The golden rule, he who has the gold makes the rules. Yeah. Which would suggest to me he knows what's going on at Fort Knox.
This is the biggest liar I've ever heard. Trump is the biggest liar I've ever heard also. Trump keeps saying we're going to do tariffs. We're not going to do tariffs. We'll do them in 30 days. We'll do them in 60 days. Everything that comes out of Trump's mouth is a lie. So you want to believe that Trump said this and then that it's real and that we have gold. Okay. I got some oceanfront property in Detroit for you guys.
Well, I want to put this out to you just to have you weigh in on this. Andy Schechtman, he has a striking theory. He believes that the U.S. is quietly preparing for this monetary reset, bringing gold back into the system to re-anchor confidence in the treasury market, even if that means ultimately sacrificing the dollar. But he points to official trade data showing that just this year, just in 2025, the U.S. has imported 780 metric tons of gold. The U.S. has officially become a net importer.
Okay, first of all, that's for the options I showed you on COMEX. When we knock the price down, China buys it and asks for delivery, and we have to deliver. That's what these 783 tons are, is to pay COMEX, because we have to pay them or we're fucked. So you don't fuck with China and Russia. They want their gold. So it's got nothing to do with, we're going to have a gold-backed currency. It's got everything to do with we need to cover our derivative and option positions on COMEX. That's why we need the gold. But it's over Andy's head, and apparently it's over this guy's head too.
Gold. And it's happening while the U.S. government officially claims that it hasn't added an ounce to its gold reserves since 1953. And Schechtman argues that it's a government-directed, off-the-books shadow program.
Because he knows he's in the government,
according to the
right?
Exchange Stabilization Fund, the president can authorize the Secretary of the Treasury, sent to buy gold. Those transactions do need to be reported to Congress at some point. We do know that Scott Bessent is a big self-confessed gold bug as well. And Andy's theory is that this is happening covertly in the greater interest of the country. He also then points to the Gold Revaluation Act, and which allows the U.S. government to revalue its gold holdings. And he argues that this could be used at some point to backstop the collapsing demand for treasuries. We've seen, de-dollarization happening around the world. He thinks that the U.S. may be laying the foundation for a gold-linked adjustment to the monetary system, and not necessarily because it wants to, right, but because it has to, mirroring the BRICS strategies where countries like China, Russia, India are accumulating gold and potentially looking to launch a gold-linked currency, or currently, as China's doing, a gold-linked trade settlement mechanism moving.
It's a gold-backed currency. What the fuck is wrong with these people? They have buying the gold to back their dollar up with gold for the trade system. Hello? So the U.S. can do that if they had the gold. Then why wouldn't they say they have the gold? Nope, we got to audit it. Oh, no, yeah, I'm a gold bug, and Trump's a gold guy. You know, Trump is not out for us. He's out for himself. Scott Bessent's out for George Soros, who's shorting the dollar like he did with the British pound in the 1991 when he made his billions because he shorted the pound. He's doing the same thing here. He's shorting the dollar. It's the exact same situation. Massive inflation. The dollar's not worth anything, and he's shorting it. And soon he'll make his other billion thanks to Scott Bassett, and Trump will probably ease in on the cut. But don't tell me they're doing what's best for the country by coming out with gold. Then they would show the gold and say, hey, we have gold too. So nothing adds up here.
Away from the dollar. So he reckons that gold linked to the system will need to happen to save the treasury, and that this is happening behind the scenes. Hence, we're seeing the U.S. becoming a net importer of gold. And to your point, perhaps there's more gold in Fort Knox that we've been told. What do you make of that?
Well, there's two reasons likely why gold has been flowing into the U.S. Partly that covert buying. I tend to agree with that. But there's also another reason. Martin Armstrong has been saying that gold is moving to the U.S. out of Europe, primarily to prepare for war, which is not that very...
So wait a minute. He just quoted Martin Armstrong. He just quoted this guy. An economic forecaster was convicted of a felony for investment fraud. He served 11 years in jail for a Ponzi scheme that cheated investors out of $700 million and hiding $50 million in assets. You're quoting this guy, and you want me to take you serious. That's like me quoting Madoff. Are you fucking kidding me? Who is this guy? You want to listen to this guy? Go right ahead. And if he's clueless. Well, we have more gold in Fort Knox because we didn't want to show 200 more tons of it. Nobody knows exactly if you have any. So you got to prove you have 8,400 tons, which you don't have. So if you have it, prove it. Nobody thinks you have the gold there, but nobody knows. He thinks they have more. Based on what? He couldn't get, well, because Saddam, we stole Saddam. How do you know we stole Saddam Hussein? Maybe it was Russia. Maybe it was China who stole it. Do you know we stole it? No. You don't know Saddam Hussein or Gaddafi. You don't know who stole it. You don't know we stole it and put it into Fort Knox. If anything, it went into London because it's out in Africa. So this guy smells. As far as the Vatican, oh, yeah, that was our gold? No, it's Nazi gold in the Vatican. What are you talking about? They paid gold to escape to Argentina. So that's we just stole it and the Vatican didn't have a problem with it? Yeah, I don't think so. So a lot of this is bullshit that people are just, there's no evidence of anything. There's no evidence they have and they do not have. So I don't know the evidence, what's going on there. But all I can tell you is we don't know. But it just seems I don't smell what they're cooking, because if you had that, you would show it. Only if you don't have it, you won't show it, because then you're bankrupt because you don't have any gold. It's like Money Heist. You have the gold not to really use, but to say, look, I got 8,000 tons. Then why aren't we raising the price on gold? Why are we keeping it at $42 on the balance sheet when it's $3,400 now? Why aren't we raising the price if we have the gold? Which obviously we don't have. So I don't buy that. And even if we have 8,000 tons, BRICS has probably 150,000 tons. China's got 70,000 tons. We got 8. We're in big trouble. But add 30,000 for India, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Brazil, and Russia. That's another maybe 100,000 tons. So that's 150 70,000 tons of the 200. So even if we have 8,000, it doesn't compare to bricks. We can, okay, so we're going to let's say we're going to go broke. We're going to not pay off our debt. If we have this gold, why aren't we paying the debt off? We're going to come off with a gold-backed currency. We'll have 50-year treasuries. What's that? Oh, so we can pay our debt. Oh, so we can keep spending more than we have. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If you actually had 8,000 tons, which I do not believe, you would then go on the balance sheet and make it 100,000 an ounce, and then you would have the money to pay off your deficit and your debt and actually have some money for a change. But you don't, because it's $42. So that's really the answer there. But if you want to start spouting off Martin Armstrong, the fucking crook, this is well, he says we're preparing for war. With who? We don't have a military. We are not preparing for war. Our war is with Russia. We pay Ukraine to go to war for us. Or Israel, we pay Israel to go. How are we preparing for war against whom? All right, let's hear this answer.
War, which is not a very, nice thought to think of, but I think both things are happening. I guess today we just got an escalation with China and Trump. So, there's a lot of geopolitical risk out there that we need to pay attention to.
Okay, neither us or China have an army. So there is no war between us and China. We have no army. We have 8 days of supplies, of weapons. After 8 days, we nuke. Do we really want to nuke and end the world? I don't think so. So there is no war with China. It's the same as the war with Russia, where we're not fighting, we're just sending in. So who are we going to send into China? Taiwan? Hey guys, here's some money, go fight for us. It's a bunch of bullshit. This guy does not know what he's talking about.
Can pop off at any time. We got Ukraine, Russia, we got Palestine, Gaza, and Israel and Iran. We got Taiwan, China. We have Pakistan and India. There's a lot of geopolitical conflict, and if Europe is preparing for war, which they might have to do because of their pension system is a disaster, those in power needing.
Okay, Europe's broke. This guy doesn't know anything. Europe is broke. Do you understand that? How are they going to war? You cannot go to a war if you don't have money. The U.S. cannot go to war because we don't have money. And if we had the gold, we would be exposing it. And why, if you have gold, would you go to war? What is this guy? The dumbest man in the world? Sorry, but I do not understand anything this guy's saying that makes any sense.
Excuse to reset things. These are very interesting times, and gold and flows of capital are starting to indicate that there's something afoot in Europe, particularly.
But you're saying that Europe is sending gold into the U.S.?
That's what Martin Armstrong said.
In anticipation of war? Wouldn't they want their gold?
Well, if Martin Armstrong said, so what he's saying is Europe doesn't want to get caught with their gold, so they're sending the gold to the U.S. for safekeeping. Oh, that's what happened in World War II because the Nazis were invading and they didn't want Hitler to take their gold. That's how it all got into Fort Knox and the New York Fed and Die Hard 3, where all the little countries had their gold in the New York Federal Reserve. But that's all been gone since 9/11, which was a gold robbery by Israel. So what's he talking about? Europe cannot go to war. They are broke. Who's they going to war with? Martin Armstrong? So let's believe Martin Armstrong because, Martin Armstrong. Yeah, he's convicted of a felony for investment fraud. He served 11 years in jail for a Ponzi scheme that cheated investors. So he's a real trustworthy guy. We should listen to Martin Armstrong all the time. Oh, what a source to use. And you want me to listen to this guy with any respect? Sorry, buddy.
Or wouldn't they want their gold accessible?
If you think there's going to be a conventional war in Europe, you'd want your gold to be safely secured in a country like the U.S. as opposed to in your own vaults. This is obviously very theoretical, but
correct.
You don't want the gold in your central bank if there's a problem.
Well, I mean, let's talk about the process.
Conventional war. Do you think they're going to be a conventional war? Does this guy not listen to Douglas McGregor? I mean, this guy, okay, he doesn't even know what he's talking about, right? He's not a military guy. He's a Wall Street broker, so he's a stock guy, so he doesn't even know what he's talking about. Oh, yeah, we have more gold in Fort Knox. Based on what? Well, we're not sure who got the Gaddafi and the Saddam Hussein gold. We'll just assume it's us, and we put it in Fort Knox. And we didn't sell any of our gold in Fort Knox to China, which we did. So we rehypothecated it all. So there is no U.S. gold in Fort Knox. Why is anybody listening to this and taking it seriously, thinking there's gold in Fort Knox? All right, I have issues with people that listen to this shit and then think, yeah, we do have gold in Fort Knox because Martin Armstrong said it and Ed O'Dowell said it because he worked at BlackRock and we can trust BlackRock like trusting JP fucking Morgan. You want to trust Jamie Dimon? You want to trust Trump? I'd rather trust Putin. Are you fucking kidding me? You are this naive that you want to trust some guy who quotes Martin Armstrong, who's a fucking Ponzi scheme guy who cheated people out, and you want to, well, if he said it, it must be true. Oh my God, this is your resource. Like, I show you my resources. It's Mark McGuire, it's Egon. Okay, we trust them. At least I do. But I don't show you Mickey Mouse here. I don't show you Jim Reichert because he's an idiot, or Peter Schiff because he's an idiot, or Andy Scheckman because he don't know what's going on. And especially this guy. I'll never watch another one of this guy. He's quoting Martin fucking Armstrong. Why don't you quote Adolf Hitler, for Christ's sake, or Joe Stalin, or Mussolini? Why don't we quote Mussolini? What did he say? I once had a teacher in history, and he called Joseph Stalin Joe Stalin, like they're buddies. Yeah, this is my buddy Joe Stalin, and Ben Mussolini. He would call him by like the first name. It was Ben Mussolini. No, it's Benito, you idiot. Do you call Adolf Adolf or oh my God, this sick teacher I had for history. But why do you believe anything this guy says? I'm really struggling that you're giving me this video as listen to this guy. I want to keep my money in stocks. Okay.
Of war, I believe you once said that war will be caused by those who seek to become the next world reserve currency or whatever system that follows. I mean, I've often maintained that I do not see the U.S. willingly giving up its status as the exorbitant privilege of being the global reserve currency.
They already have.
Trump has said that this is like a war. He says that the BRICS are trying to destroy the dollar.
BRICS was set up to degenerate our dollar and take our dollar as the standard, take it off.
No, it wasn't. BRICS was set up as competition of free trade amongst BRICS countries. It had nothing to do with the dollar. Nothing. It's basically they don't want to get tariffed. Russia can't even use SWIFT because they're sanctioned. And nobody else wants to be sanctioned and nobody else wants to be tariffed. That's why BRICS is set up. So they can trade Brazil and China and Russia and Iran and Iraq. All these people can trade amongst each other and not have to pay the dollar. There's a payment. So if you're Switzerland and you want to buy British pounds, you have to sell your Swiss francs to the U.S. at a commission, take the dollars and buy British pounds. That seems real fair. So no, that's why BRICS was set up, was to avoid all this bullshit. And they want to have a gold-backed currency because they don't trust the dollar anymore. And 37 trillion in debt and another 80 trillion in debt with the Social Security and everything. That's the point of it. That's why BRICS was there. It's got nothing to do. It's a alternative. They're not trying to hurt the dollar. We're doing a good job of it by having all this debt to pay off and inflating the shit out of it because we don't even understand what inflation is. I buy gold because you can't inflate it. You can't make it worthless. Unbelievable.
And that's okay if they want to play that game, but I can play that game too. So anybody that's in BRICS is getting a 10% charge. But what they're trying
They're not
to
even
do
dealing
is
with
destroy
you.
the dollar so that another country can take over and be the standard. And we're not going to lose this.
It's gold, you idiot. Gold is the controlling feature. There is no That's this. It's not a standard. It's the reserve currency, which is not needed. Just have everybody deal in gold, and you're fine. And you have gold backed currency, so it's not like everybody needs to carry an ounce of gold in their pocket. I love that one. Well, how do I take it to the grocery store? And there's not enough gold for everybody. Not at 3,000. Make it 50,000, and there's plenty of gold.
Standard at any time. And if we lost the world standard dollar, that would be like losing a war, a major world war. We would not be the same country any longer. We're not going to let that happen. The dollar, you ever hear the expression, dollar is king? The dollar is king. We're going to keep it that way, okay?
But, Trump.
I thought it was the gold standard, and gold was the king. The dollar is not worth anything, so the dollar is not the king. The dollar is the two of diamonds, not the king.
Has said that it's like losing a war, that it's not going to happen, not under his watch. You mentioned escalations. We're seeing that with Russia. President Trump says he's now moved 2 nuclear submarines after Russia's Medvedev has warned that things are escalating. Medvedev said that each new ultimatum that Trump makes towards Russia in pressuring an end to the conflict with Ukraine is a threat and a step towards war. That's coming out of Russia. Trump then goes and moves some submarines.
That's bullshit. These submarines are nothing, and Medvedev's not saying that. We're not going to war with Russia. That's never going to happen. We're going to start nuking each other and end the world. Is that what we want? No, I don't think so. But that's what this whole wars are about, is the U.S., just like they did with Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein, want to go to war so they don't come out with a gold-backed currency. That's it, because they know that's the end of the dollar, because it's all fake. It's all bullshit. But that won't happen because you're fighting Russia and China, and you can't fight them. And you don't have any weapons because you gave it all to the Ukraine. So you don't even have any weapons in the stockpile. You want everybody to buy weapons, so we have money, which nobody's going to buy. Europe is bankrupt because of this war, you idiots. So basically, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. If you watch Douglas McGregor and then you watch this, you're like, these guys are so clueless. They don't know what they're talking about. That's my problem with Andy Schectman. Well, obviously, we're bringing in gold to have a gold-backed currency. No, we're bringing in gold to pay off all the options on COMEX, because now it's Basel III, and you have to pay the deliveries of when people want it, and you can't do it because you have no gold. So don't fuck with me.
How do you think this plays out? I mean, do you think that we could be on the brink of some kind of war with?
Yeah, okay. That's who the fuck does this guy has no clue. Let's go back. So Fort Knox. So here's global real estate. Well, let's look at the housing market first.
CSIS, what data points are you seeing that corroborate this and that others are ignoring at this point?
Well, we're seeing new tenant rents. They started rolling over in the fourth quarter. Very good leading early indicator. It's not very well followed series. We're also seeing, and I'll just read off the chart here we have in front of us, housing units under construction, total units are rolling. Housing units authorized by building permits are rolling. Housing units completed are rolling. And housing units authorized but not started are rolling. These are all very good leading indicators that are predictive of a slowing and potential price degradation in the housing market. So we have low affordability. We have a overbuild, especially multi-tenant housing, which we highlight in one of our reports. And we're going to be issuing a report next week that packages all 3 of these reports that go into very detailed analysis and show all our graphs and charts work, regression analysis, for those who want to check our work. But again, we made the call in early January based on Trump's policies on immigration. And now we're starting to see the indicators rolling. So we're even more confident that our call is correct and housing market is going to correct. It's not the end of the world. The good news is the consumer is not as leveraged as they were during the 2008 crisis. As prices correct, we expect there to be a rebound on the other side led by the millennials entering the market. But the only variable that can correct this current problem is price. And even if the Fed starts lowering mortgage rates, that'll take time to work its way into the economy, or not mortgage rates, interest rates. They have no control of.
So again, the price, as I started the class, the price controls everything. The market controls what the price is. So the millennials or whoever the fuck he's talking about can only afford 100,000 for a house, and they're at 500,000 with a high interest rate. So the price has to drop. Well, that's what we're talking about. Because he does a recession analysis means he's a Keynesian, because you don't see me waste my time with that shit. I can explain it in English versus these data point crap.
Mortgage rates. It'll take time to work its way into the economy, about 18 months. So a recession is unavoidable. The other problem we have is a stock market bubble, which we had a dot-com bubble that caused a mild recession that then we were taken out of that recession by housing. So now we have the twin problem of the stock market bubble being led mostly by 7 stocks, 40%, 36 to 40% of the S&P 500 is 7 stocks. The market is very narrow. Underneath the market, there's indicators suggesting that all is not well. Small caps have not confirmed this rally. The Dow Jones Industrial has not confirmed this rally since the April lows. So we think we're close to a realization that things are not well. The other problem we had that's been well documented, and Trump is talking about this today, is the non-farm payroll numbers. They were either through gross statistical incompetence and or fraud there were imaginary jobs that were reported in the non-farm payroll establishment report. You got to remember, the non-farm payroll is just an estimate. And then later on, months later, the real numbers are figured out. And the non-farm payroll is supposed to be close to reality. We've seen since the QCEW reports, the quarterly census earnings and wages, which is reality, the actual jobs that were created, there's been about 1 million to 1.5 million difference. So there was definitely something going on under the Biden administration. Trump today just fired the head of the BLS department.
We know all the government is phony and made up, and they're all lies and they're all corrupt. So why do you even, anybody that would actually read them thinking they're real is out of their fucking minds. These are all bullshit. Let's see, global real estate risk.
Well, there seems to be a global real estate problem. We talked about that in our January report. Real home prices had started declining versus inflation about 1.5 years ago globally. And now we're starting to see nominal price declines. That's starting to happen in Japan and the UK. So this could be a coordinated global real estate problem, but we don't know yet. We'll see.
But then again, how does this play out? Is this because banks are sitting on losses? Is it because I see how it impacts like the manufacturing side, a little bit of the economy, but how does this really unravel?
Well, if it's a systemic problem, it'll be because banks are starting to admit losses. Then they shut down issuing credit, and that further exacerbates the problem. The lifeblood of our economy is credit creation. So when the banks rein in credit creation, that creates a liquidity problem, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So, we might get to a little bit of a scare like that, and if the Fed can act in time, we might be able to avoid it, and I think we will. But this thing the knock-on daisy chain effects could start to really accelerate. And, look, the banks are sitting on $3 trillion in commercial real estate loans that they've been extending and pretending. The Federal Reserve highlighted this in a report in November of the last year. The Federal Reserve New York put out a report saying banks are basically lying, they're extending and pretending and not taking losses. If you have a $12 trillion real estate market that starts to take on losses, it will be impossible for them to hide the losses. So this, I suspect, is just too big of a problem for the banks to continue to pretend everything's fine, and it's not fine.
Well, I definitely want to hit on the banking sector and your outlook there, but you're saying that if the Fed starts to aggressively cut rates, then it could potentially, well, not thwart this, but blunt this. I mean, too late Powell, as Trump likes to call him. But even if the Fed starts to cut rates aggressively, I mean, then or inject more liquidity into the markets, and ultimately what we're just kicking the can down the road here, right? And you're just continuing to devalue the dollar ultimately. I mean, that creates a whole other problem.
Right. We can't. There will be a correction. We can't save, the risk off trade completely, but they can ameliorate some of the losses if they act quick enough and do unprecedented things. What they're going to do is create inflation on the other side. So again, we don't.
All right, it's already massive inflation. All right, I can't stand this guy anymore. My advice is don't send me videos of idiots, please. All right, here's a good one from our good friend Egon.
With all the problems in the US financial system and the US monetary system, with all the money printing and with all the massive escalation in debt and growing deficits, people wonder, why is the dollar not going down more? But that's the wrong question. The dollar is going down on a daily basis. When people think about the dollar not going down, they think about the dollar against other currencies, the dollar index or the dollar against yen or the dollar against euro. That's not the way to measure it. There's no prize for being number 2 or number 3 to the bottom. All currencies are going down to the bottom. As I have explained many times, they're down 99% already measured in real terms, that is in gold terms, down 99% since 1971. So we only have 1% to go, and that 1% is going to be 100% from here. That will mean that there will be basically the end of the current monetary system. So I would like to advise investors, stop worrying about which currency is going down the fastest or which currency is the strongest. No currency is strong. Every single currency in the world, without exception, is down around 99% since 1971. So therefore, you shouldn't measure your wealth in paper currencies. Measure it in real terms in gold. Therefore, measure the dollar against gold and measure the euro against gold. And this is where you see the real value of your money. And therefore, the dollar is going down in real terms against gold and will continue down. Whether it falls slightly more slowly against other currencies is irrelevant. Just measure it in real terms in nature's money, the only money that's ever survived in history. Measure it in gold. There you will see the real catastrophic fall of the dollar and of all the other currencies. That is what you should protect yourself against, not against other relative moves of the currencies.
You can kind of smell what he's cooking there. Let's watch the colonel explain why there is no wars coming, because we don't have any money. We don't have any military. We ain't fighting the Chinese.
These are the same photos. It's called Retake AI.
This regime is dying. There's no question about it. And long before MI6 gets to install Zelensky as their chosen successor to Zelensky, this thing is going to be over. So the question is, what do you do if you're sitting in the White House? President Trump is very loath to stand up publicly and say, well, I guess I was wrong. I couldn't end this in 24 hours. I can't bring these people to the peace table. That's not going to happen. You're going to hear a lot of stupid crap about, well, President Trump tried his best, but President Putin lied to him. Well, that's all nonsense. That's just crap. Listen to what President Putin says over and over and over again. It has not changed over the last 36 months, frankly. And he's taken steps periodically to tell them exactly what the conditions are. Finally, there's this. What did we do after the Vietnam debacle? We stopped talking about it. Did you ever hear anybody stand up and say, well, I was right, but, things didn't work out quite that way. So, no, nobody does that. Generals don't stand up and say, I was wrong. Everything I predicted never happened. My assessments were wrong. You can start with General Paul Harkins back in 1963, go all the way through up to Fred Wyand at the end as the commander in Vietnam. Nobody does that. And I think what will happen is what we recommended, at least I recommended from the very beginning. President Trump, you want this to stop? We agree. Cease the delivery of all military aid immediately. arrange for the delivery of humanitarian assistance to the Ukrainians that need it, and medical care and so forth, through a third country. Get everyone who is an American citizen, whether they're in or out of uniform, whether they're intelligence or conventional military, it doesn't make any difference. All need to get out of Ukraine now. Do those things, and the Russians will then take you seriously, because they'll recognize, oh, the Americans have finally figured it out. We don't have any vital strategic interest in Ukraine. We never have. I mean, that's the simple truth. We wish everybody well, but we're not interested. This is an artificially created war. We created it with the help of our British friends and others in NATO. It needs to end. Only we can end it quickly. But you don't end it by presiding at some peace talk where everybody stands next to you and smiles and says, we love you, President Trump. You're such a great man. That's not going to happen. So just cut bait. Get out. You would think a businessman who has seen more than a few bad investments over many years would know when, that's it. We're going to take the loss and move on. We can't, let's not feed this loss anymore.
Right. Exactly.
Be done with it. That's what he needs to do. I think eventually that's what we will do. Because if you go down the road that's being charted by this General Donahue, you're going to destroy everything.
Well, here's the worry. You just a second ago you said the hope is that maybe saner heads can eventually prevail to come to the conclusions that you just mentioned here, but to the contrary, you have people emoting, as you said a second ago, also in the opposite direction. You mentioned earlier about the trolling, basically, that Medvedev did against Trump when he said the issue. Gary, if you could put that up there, where Medvedev said, the dead hand. No, not that one. The other one. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, where he said about India's and Russia's dead economies entering very dangerous territory. Well, let him remember his favorite movies about the Walking Dead, as well as how dangerous the fabled dead hand can be. And that's where Trump interpreted, or else someone interpreted for him, that Medvedev was threatening nuclear war against the United States, which is not what the dead hand is. We'll just point that out, first of all. But in response, that's when Trump sent those nuclear subs publicly. As you said, he responded out of emotion to send something in, which is a signal that you're thinking more seriously about nuclear weapons. Well, if anyone was wondering what kind of reaction that would get from the group of people like the Donahues and some others, we got that from Brother Jack Keane.
What Medvedev did here to precipitate the president's actions, it once again brandished the threat of nuclear weapons.
Okay, Jack Keene's an idiot. We don't want to listen to him. We will listen to him because they're just showing how stupid he is. But do not see Fox News say, oh, there's Jack Keane. I'm going to listen because he knows what he's talking about. He's clueless. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Use. And believe me, this is a part of their instrument of national power. They use psychological warfare is how I would describe it. And they were quite successful in the Biden administration because as a result of threatening the use of tactical nuclear weapons, Biden restricted the use of our weapons. He held them back, long-range missiles, tanks, F-16s, to name a few. The Europeans were onto it, and they realized that this was a bluff, and we should stop submitting to that bluff and changing our behavior. And they forced the Biden administration to provide those items I just suggested, the Europeans, that is, because they were, in a sense, calling the Russians bluff. The president has heard this, and he wants them to know unequivocally that he's in charge here. He's not going to submit to this kind of intimidation and coercion and psychological warfare. And that is the message he is sending by announcing the deployment of 2 nuclear-powered submarines.
That's the message he's sending. So Putin is just bluffing, and Biden deserves condemnation because he was worried about nuclear war, but Trump is not because he's tough, and that's what Putin's going to have to wonder. What does that tell you about where we're heading?
Well, I think we need to pause and point out, and I think Scott Ritter and Larry Johnson and others have done this, that the dead hand is simply a mechanism that ensures that if the Russians are a victim of first strike, and regardless of how much damage the first strike does, including kill them in great numbers, The dead hand is simply a mechanism that ensures that the Russians strike back with everything they've got. That's about it. So it's really a defensive mechanism. It's not an offensive one. So it's important to keep that in mind. The second thing, as we've said before, this is Medvedev. This is not Putin. President Trump should respond to other heads of state, not to people that are not heads of state, frankly. They don't matter. What matters is what the head of state says, the man who's actually in control. Now, the last bit of this is disturbing because Trump's personality is easily manipulated by people who are saying, well, if you do this, boss, you're going to be tough. And that's what Americans want. They want a tough guy out there to lay down the law and make it clear what we're not going to do and what they have to do. A lot of people in my generation that were involved in the Vietnam War, unfortunately, are very easily seduced by this. More than one person who was in Vietnam has said to me on several occasions, we got to be tough with these people. They're bad. We know them. We dealt with them before. Come on, this is not the Cold War. These people are not communists. They're Russians. And while there is always overlap, because underlying culture and national identity, ethnicity, religion, language, all those things always assert themselves and are always more important than any ideology. In this particular case, what they're being accused of and what is real are not the same thing, as you know, and as you pointed out. But this kind of thing very much appeals to the boomer generation, of which I'm a member. And I think Jack Keane exemplifies this. It's all about bullying somebody and being tough. Well, not really. This is about avoiding nuclear war, period, at all costs. It's about identifying real strategic interests, not imaginary interests. There is no interest on our part in what happens in eastern Ukraine, never has been. You could make an argument that we should have made it clear from the very beginning that at least the Dnieper River should be respected as a demarcation line, beyond which we recommend.
All right, that's enough of that. But you get the idea. Let's see. Dollar under attack.
With high yield cash from Robinhood Gold.
Hi, sorry. I just wanted to say you smell so good and wanted to ask what.
They didn't ban the dollar. They simply stopped using it. On July 9th, without warning, Donald Trump slammed Brazil with a 50% tariff, America's harshest economic penalty on any country this year. The justification? Not trade deficits, not national security, but Brazil's prosecution of former President Jair Bolsonaro. Within 72 hours, a second blow landed. The United States revoked visas for most of Brazil's Supreme Court judges. Not militants, judges. Their offense, overseeing Bolsonaro's coup trial. And then, almost buried beneath it all, a third strike. A Section 301 trade investigation, opening the door for sweeping sanctions on Brazil's financial systems. But here's what wasn't sanctioned. PIX, Brazil's homegrown, dollar-free, state-run payment system. Fast, free. Already processing $450 billion per month, entirely outside the dollar ecosystem. And that, not Bolsonaro, is what Washington is really afraid of. Because PIX doesn't just move money. It bypasses the dollar. Launched in late 2020, PIX now reaches over 76% of Brazil's population. It processes more transactions than debit and credit cards combined, according to Brazil's central bank. Unlike Visa or MasterCard, PIX isn't tethered to United States banks or SWIFT. It doesn't need dollars to clear cross-border payments, and it doesn't charge a cent. The US dollar plays no role in it. That's the crisis. At first, Washington viewed PIX as an internal Brazilian innovation. Convenient, maybe disruptive, but not geopolitical. Then it quietly became interoperable with BRICS Pay, a multilateral system being trialed by Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Suddenly it wasn't just domestic, it was global. PIX is already routing transactions that would have flowed through SWIFT. And because it's government run, Washington can't cut it off. Unlike traditional banks, PIX doesn't answer to correspondent banking networks or dollar clearing hubs. It clears directly between citizens and institutions, instantly. In effect, PIX allows Brazil to operate a domestic monetary system that doubles as an international settlement platform, with no dependency on United States financial infrastructure. For Washington, this is more than technical, it's existential, because the United States doesn't just use the dollar as currency, it uses it as leverage. Leverage to sanction, to isolate, to reward and punish. That leverage depends on global compliance. And Brazil, by proving a large economy can function outside that orbit, is offering a model other nations might follow. This isn't theory. This is execution. When President Lula publicly questioned the dollar supremacy, it sounded like rhetoric. Why should every country have to base its trade on the dollar? He asked in Shanghai this year. Why can't we trade in our own currencies? At the time, that quote felt aspirational. Now, it looks like policy. Because while Trump was escalating tariffs over Bolsonaro, Brazil's central bank announced a new phase of PIX integration, cross-border transactions with Latin American neighbors. Settlement will occur in local currencies, directly, without converting through the dollar. Mexico, Argentina, and Colombia are in talks. This isn't de-dollarization by declaration. It's death by 1,000 exclusions. But here's the contradiction. The United States isn't punishing Brazil for abandoning the dollar. It's punishing Brazil for prosecuting Bolsonaro, and in doing so, pushing Brazil further from the dollar system it wants to preserve. Consider this. The United States has a trade surplus with Brazil, not a deficit. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, Brazil has consistently bought more from the United States than it sells, over $300 billion in cumulative surplus since 2010. That fact alone invalidates Trump's typical tariff rationale. So why target Brazil? Because of a trial. Because one judge, Alexandre de Moraes, oversaw social media bans and issued arrest warrants for Bolsonaro loyalists. Trump called it a disgrace and tied the 50% tariff directly to those actions in his July 9th executive order.
See, look at the problems. Why is Trump involved in Brazil? And why is he involved with Iran? And why is he involved with China? And why is he involved with Ukraine and Russia? Why are we involved in all that? We shouldn't be involved. We should worry about the U.S. strengthening that. Applying, accumulating gold to have a gold-backed currency, because you've got to realize your dollar's worthless. And don't go with stable coin. That's not the answer. And the only reason Bitcoin's up because Trump's buying it. He's got like $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. Too bad it's worthless. Anyway, so again, we're going to tariff you. Well, that really scares people. We don't deal with you. Why are you tariffing us? All right, let's see what other goodies we got in here. So the dollar's under attack because BRICS is not using it. I don't know that it's under attack. It just isn't being used. All right, we'll leave you with this wonderful one by...
Gold is not for investment. It's for financial insurance against a broken financial system. We are in the next few years, maybe longer, we're going to see the financial system and the currency system coming to an end. We have seen a steady period of decline since 1971 of all currencies. They're all now down by 99% in real terms, which is against gold. Remember, we have only 1% to go, but that 1% is 100% from here. And this is what we're going to see in the next few years, whatever time it takes. This is why you cannot protect your wealth in paper money or in paper assets. You have to have insurance in the form of physical gold and hold it safely outside a fragile banking system.
And that's the point that I'm making. It's collapsed. You either hold your dollar, you hold your money in dollars, or get your money out of the dollars and put it into gold and silver. The only two lifeboats. Or if you know somebody in BRICS, but that's gold. BRICS will be a gold-backed system. So you do not want to be in dollars. It's worthless. 99% gone, and I argue 100%. I don't know how he's coming up with 99 and not 100, where there's 1% left. And if there's 1% left, it's gone. I'd say by the end of the year, we're all, the dollar's gone. But all you need to do, it's a medium of exchange. Remember that. It's to go to work, you get paid, and you take the money and you go and you pay your expenses, and then you go on a vacation, eat, whatever you want to do with the rest of the money after paying your bills. That's what it is. It's a medium of exchange. It doesn't have to be in paper. It doesn't have to be the US dollar. It can be the US dollar backed by gold. So if we actually have 8,400 tons of gold, which we do not, then why aren't we backing our gold? Why aren't we? What are we waiting for? So we're going to keep the dollar crashing and do tariffs that nobody wants and sell treasuries that nobody wants, but we have gold. Yeah, that makes about 0 cents. Why would we do that? I have gold. If I want to go on a vacation, would I take out a loan to pay for the vacation, or I'd sell an ounce of gold to pay for the vacation? Why would I take out a loan to pay for the vacation if I have gold that I can easily say, here, give me $3,400 and I'm going to go on a vacation? Sounds pretty simple to me. So, bunch of bullshit. We don't have any gold. If we do, what are we waiting for? What are we waiting? What is our big surprise? Oh yeah, we do have gold. We got 84. We got more than 8,400. What an idiot that guy is. Oh my God. I can't keep. I'm not going to keep like debating over do we have gold or not. My point is we don't, because if we did, we'd be using it. We wouldn't keep borrowing and keep doing treasury bills. And I don't buy. There might be gold in Fort Knox. It's not U.S. gold. It's China gold. I think if we had it, we would show it. We don't. You can't just assume we had it. And even if we did steal it from Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi and have them killed over it, doesn't mean we have it. Probably London has it. London runs us, so probably London has it. George Soros, or China got it. I mean, it's the fact that it's missing. Oh well, then let's just assume it's in Fort Knox. Missing the point. We don't want gold. We sold our gold. We rehypothecated it. We sold it to the bullion banks. It went to China. Our gold has been sold. There might be 8,400 tons in Fort Knox, but it's not our gold. It's China's gold. So it's just, I don't want to keep rehashing this point. We don't have any gold. If we did, we'd use it. All right, let's say we do have it. Who the hell knows and who the hell cares? If we do, I mean, we're assuming we do. I don't assume that. I assume if you ask me for a Mantle card, I show you the Mantle card. So I have it because I can prove it. So I don't buy that we have any gold. No, it doesn't mean I don't want us to have gold. I wish we did and weren't stupid enough to sell it to the Chinese, but it's clear and obvious that's what happened. So all we can do is go from there. And I assume we don't. You assume we do. Fine. But neither of us. My stuff is more because if we had it, we would show it. Anything else? That's the one I wanted to show you. It's down 99%. I got to watch this. I haven't watched this. I apologize. The avoid glasses, the 2020 trick a month ago. So I'm going to watch that. And then this was Mark McGuire's last week, which I highly recommend. See, now we saw London Paul. Now I like London Paul. I think what he says makes sense to me. So I know. So I listen. And if it makes sense, okay, we can listen to London Paul and Mark McGuire and Egon. I trust that they know what they're talking about and they can give us stuff that we don't know. But I can't listen to Ed O'Donnell and I can't listen to Andy Scheckman and Rick Rude and all these guys. They're idiots. Peter Schiff, Andy Scheckman. I won't listen to them because they don't know. They don't even know what inflation is. Well, inflation's low and it could go up. No, it's money printing. You printed the money. The dollar's worthless. That's the inflation. It's amazing how people just don't even understand what the hell that is. Oh, it's debasement. You've debased the currency. How the fuck do you debase paper when you can only debase coins? You can only take the gold and silver out of the coins. That's the debasement. That's it. You don't debase the currency because that would mean you're taking the gold out of the paper, which you don't have any gold in the paper. It's inflation. You're printing, it's worthless. That's what inflation is. Printing the money, making it worthless. Then you need more dollars to buy things. So it's not really prices going up. It's the dollar losing value. And again, gold at 3,500. What was my percentage? I did it over here. So I did this analogy. So gold was $35 an ounce. Is now it was $34.30. So we'll say 3,400. It's up $3,398, which is 97,000% in inflation, right? So this should be a percentage. So it's a 9,708% increase. So again, all right, let's use today. So gold's let's call gold 3,400. Gold was 35 in 1971. It's up $3,365, which is 9,614% is your inflation for gold. And that's the bottom line, Mr. Coldstone. So 9,000% inflation. They want to tell you it's 2. And yes, Egon, that's what you do. You have to go back to the money in 1971 and the money today. And that's the inflation rate if you want to go, but that's only in gold. If you did cars, if you did houses, if you did silver, you would get different rates. And that's why you can't use a rate and you can't say 2 or 3%. You just know that the dollar has collapsed. It's not, doesn't have a value. This does not have a value. I don't know what part of this people don't get. Well, it says 1 on it. Oh, okay, go buy something with it. Well, I don't have enough. I gotta go to the grocery store and get 2 apples and an orange, and it's $15. Right? I just looked at plums, $3.99 a pound. I mean, it's just insanity, but that's because the dollar's losing value. Everything is not being increased in price. And to tell you inflation's year over year and a percentage of a select few items that haven't moved a lot, so we can say, look, it's 2%. What a bunch of liars. And you want to listen to these guys. Oh, let's listen to Trump and let's listen to Martin Armstrong, you know, Jim the Anvil Neinhart, and, come on. Or the Hart Family. I would listen to Bret Hart. All right. So, Martin, which I like from the girl with the dragon tattoo is on, I believe, Pluto. So I watched it. She's adorable. All right, gold. Again, why is it going down? There's no reason. The demand did not go down. It's just options. It's all bullshit. It's JP Morgan. 33.70. Isn't that going to dump? You're going to dump your gold because it's going down to 33.70. You better get out before it goes down. What a bunch of horseshit that is. It's sitting there in that 33.50 to 33.80 pocket for the last month. And silver still 37.85. Why isn't it higher? The demand for silver and gold is 100 times higher than these prices. So the real price of gold got to be 20,000 at least. You can get it for 30. You can get it for the low price at 33.70. Silver probably around $1,000 an ounce. You can get it for the low price at 37.85. Good shopping, because you know what's going to happen very soon. You won't be able to get it. This is my warning to everybody: is you better buy it now, because soon it'll be much more expensive and it won't be available. You won't be able to get it. You won't be able to find it. Right now, I go to the coin store, and the reason he has it is because people come in and sell it because they think it's high. Oh, I better get out. I better dump it. It's 33.70. I better get out of it. I mean, even look at these. Look at the day the chart went. So it's 33.76. It goes all the way down to 33.59. It goes all the way back to 33.80. and then it goes down, and then goes back up, and then it goes down, and then it goes back up, and then it goes down, and then it goes back up. And now it's down, and it'll go back up. What kind of fucking movement is this? People are selling and then they're buying. So they're selling it at 33.79 and buying it at 33.73. What? This is the option game. Anyway, just buy physical. And I don't know why it is that some people have to buy stocks. Like, well, I shouldn't have bought gold. I bought the gold. That's all I got is gold and silver, and I should sell it to buy stock. Like, are you out of your mind? What part of the stock market's about to crash because of the tariffs and the economy and everything else is why are you buy stock then? Do you buy stock to make money? Do you buy stock because you're bored or I think I'll make money on it? I don't really understand. It's so simple. Buy the gold, silver, hold it. Well, it's not 100,000 like Bitcoin. It's not 10,000 yet. Well, the game's we're in the first quarter of the game. Let the game be played. Let gold go to 10, 15,000, 20,000 an ounce. Let gold go, let the dollar go out and then gold really go. If the US actually has gold, which I doubt, why aren't they using it to pay the debt off? Why aren't they raising the price? So they got 37 trillion in there. Gold should not be this cheap. It's only cheap because of the US dollar, because the defense contractors and the mafia want us in dollars. And they can print it and print it and print it, even though it's worthless. Even they haven't figured out it's worthless. So you're only really out is to be in the gold and silver. So it's not that difficult, but why do you need to be in, I guess you're just bored, you need to be in stocks too, or I'm going to make money in stocks. No, you're not, because it's in dollars. It's just like Bitcoin. You can make money in Bitcoin, but it's in dollars. That's the point. It's in dollars. So the dollar is worthless. So anything you hold in it, your house, your car, your stocks, your Bitcoin are worthless. The money in the bank is worthless. So all I can say is back to the beginning in my topic. Have we hit the iceberg yet? Are we crashing? So if we've hit the iceberg, which we have, the dollar's worthless. We've hit the iceberg. We have 37 trillion in debt and another 80 trillion in Social Security and Medicare debt. We have a budget we can't balance. We have too much expense. What do you think we have as far as what do you understand about that we're bankrupt, that you can't understand? You got to pay off 100 trillion in debt. You can't. Every month you're paying Social Security, Medicare, and the debt and the interest on the debt. What part are you missing about that? You have a household, and if you can't afford all your expenses, what happens? You're bankrupt. So this is the point. This is the point I really don't follow with people. Oh, let me buy stocks. Why don't you wait until they crash? Why don't you wait till the housing market crashes to buy a house? Wait for the car. I showed you the car thing the other day where all these cars are sitting on the lot. It costs the companies money. And the only out is to lower the price on the cars or the steak or the ribs or whatever good you're selling, because it's about, business is about moving inventory. If it's polo shirts, I got this one. It was like I got a good deal on it. They changed the logo, but I like the green. So I mean that I got, I think, for $35-$40. But they're trying to sell these for 100, and it's like, look, I don't need this. I can buy the Brooks Brothers or the Tommy Hilfiger. I don't need that. But that's the thing. They're trying to market that there's no competition to polo. Well, good luck with that, fellas. So you just wait, go on sale, and that's when you buy it. But the housing market is crashed because it's not crashed. It's too expensive. There's no buyers. You're trying to sell, this is the market, and you're trying to sell the house up here. How can you sell the house here when all the buyers are down there? So you must lower the price. Now they can call it deflation or bullshit, whatever they want to call it. It's the market's down here, and you're trying to sell it up here. You need to bring it down. That's how I explain Austrian economics, not with charts and flows and bullshit words that nobody understands, right? Here's the market down here. This is what the buyers are, and here's the seller. And if the seller wants to sell, he's got to come down to the market. It's as simple as that. That's it. And as your dollar goes away, the market can't grow, but you need more dollars to buy this, but we don't have more dollars to buy it. So you have to come down, and that's what they call deflation, is simply the value of the dollar pushing the prices down because you can't sell it. Now, if you don't need to sell it, I don't know what it's worth, right? But when the dollar goes out, then the gold rules. Maybe that's what Trump's thinking. The him with the gold has the golden rule. Well, that means he's obviously clearly going to have a gold-backed currency. Yeah, Trump. Okay, sure. George Soros doesn't want it. He ain't doing it. I think that's about it. So, gold 33.70, silver 37.85. We're disappointed with silver not being at 40 by now, but Mark McGuire lied to us. He said, "Oh, once we hit 39, it'll go to 50." He didn't see the new options that came out. So it's going to be this little climb here and there until it finally breaks. But the thing on our side is the dollar's worthless. You printed too much of it, it has no value. So that's what I hope you took from this lesson is that stop with the stocks and stop with the Bitcoin, please. They're in dollars, so they're not worth anything. You please understand this is worthless. Egon just said it's cost 99% of its value. This is gone. It's gone. It's not that the system goes away. The system will be replaced from the fiat system until the gold-backed system. So these will be backed by gold. That's all that's going to happen. The fiat system backed by nothing goes away. Backed by gold comes on. That's why you need gold, and the value of the gold is going to go through the roof. It has to, because the demand will be so strong, and COMEX will blow up because they're buying tons of gold to pay off the deliverables on COMEX. That's why they're buying it. Not so we have a gold-backed currency. They don't want that. They want stable coin where it's backed by nothing. Come on. If you want a gold-backed currency, come out with the gold-backed currency. China did. BRICS is doing it. Just come out with it. Show them your 8,000 tons. Oh, yeah. Well, that's what we had in 1953. If anybody can believe that, who knows? I think it was audited in 53, right? So in 70 years, it's like when the Lions won their last playoff. It's the same thing. So please be careful. We've hit the iceberg, right? It's a matter of when does this ship sink, but it will sink because we've hit the iceberg. We've hit the iceberg. This ship is sinking. It's not maybe, it's not an opinion. It's a fact. It's lost 99%. I think 100. It's gone. This is gone. Therefore, stop fucking around playing with the dollar. You're playing with fire. Oh, I want to buy stocks. Why? Why do you want to buy stock? Well, they go up 5%. Or you could be an Amazon or whatever. Big deal. It's still in dollars. It's worthless. And then people don't understand gambling. If you have 5 and you go to 10, you take your profit. That's gambling. It's about winning. It's about taking your profit. That's all it is. It's not that difficult, folks. So anyway, that's what we have. So have a good day. Again, I did baseball earlier. I did preseason football. I'll do a thing on college football maybe tomorrow or Friday. We'll just review. We have time. It's August 6th. It starts August 23rd, but it's right around the corner. And we'll review the games. And now I put in the coaches and the returning quarterbacks and all the good fun stuff. And we'll go from there. I'll break down the teams, but I don't think Ohio State's not the number one team. They lost Chip Kelly. They added Matt Patricia. There's a problem there. Just like the Lions, you lose your coordinators, you're fucked. So Ohio State, they would lose to Texas, but Texas doesn't have a quarterback. And if Prime Jr. is the quarterback at Cleveland, we'll be betting heavily they won't win a game. But I'm sure Flacco will be the starting quarterback. And I can't believe Dylan Gabriel is that bad. That makes zero sense to me. He's 3 of 17 on his passes, and it's all his fault, of course. Yeah. No, I watched him at Oregon. He's not that bad. He's a lot better than Prime Jr. I mean, he threw for 3,000 yards at Oregon. I went over that with you. 35 touchdowns, 8 picks, and 8 sacks, 6 sacks, something like that. No, he can't go from that to I can't in practice. I can't hit the broadside of a barn. That's just bullshit. Maybe he had a arm problem. Maybe something was wrong. But he's a much better quarterback than Prime Jr. Or maybe Dion paid him to throw bad so Prime can start, show how bad he is. Anyway, 3371, 3787. Have a wonderful day. So I'm off to the pool in about an hour. It's Wednesday. Waiting to hear on the job, but I know it's going to take a week or two. I'll probably send my thank yous now. And that's it. So have a good day, everybody. Be smart, understand, and then learn how to listen to people. And just because Joe Blow says something, does that make sense to you? And if you don't know, ask me. But it doesn't make any sense, and that's the point. All right. All right, I will talk to you soon. All right, have a nice day, everybody. www.teaserking.com. And soon football starts for us.